Hey, hello, my friends. It's Chat with Matt. Good morning. It's 26th of February, 2020. How are you? Look at me. Hair everywhere. That's okay. I can cope with that. That's not a fashion contest in my part of the world. I'm here to serve you. What do you guys want to know? I haven't looked whether anyone... I was late. I must admit I was late posting the notification to this. I actually, to be honest, I realised that I hadn't notified Chat with Matt until I'd started my meditation this morning, and then so I had to stop my meditation and put a post on and then go back. So that's what I've been doing. What am I looking for? The Bright Light Facilitator Group. Here we are, and there I am, and no one's commented. No one's put in a pre-requested question. So yeah, I'm open for it. Let me know when you pop on. Let me know what you might like to know. And I'll do my best. There's no real promises here. I just shoot from the hip and see what comes out of my mouth. What's going on in my world? I had a swing and a miss yesterday as I recorded a video, which was incredibly hard to do, and I came up against all sorts of resistance, both externally and internally. Obviously, internal resistance tends to manifest in the external, so things like, technological issues and whatnot arise as we try and step into doing something that we are in some way resistant to doing. Some sort of fear is playing out that I'm not going to do this well enough, or this is going to lead to some sort of issue in my life that I'm not prepared to cope with. A lot of that is subconscious, of course. We don't really know why we're resisting to doing certain things, but there's fragments of energy from our distant past that are discordant with the choices that we're making. In other words, there's something that's protesting, thinking that this is going to be dangerous, is going to lead to a situation where we felt pain in the past, right? The pain of rejection, the pain of persecution, the pain of whatever that pain might be. And so we come up against resistance, and our job is to step through it. So I managed to step through it and record the video as best I could, which wasn't good enough. Simply by the time, and basically I ran out of light. It got too dim, and the lighting had turned to shit, and so I had to quit, and I started editing the best version I had, and it was plainly obvious that was not going to cut the mustard. So that task has been transferred to today to try again, to keep moving forward. I did learn quite a bit about what I didn't like about the last one. So, there's no such thing as a failure. There are only learning experiences, learning opportunities. And so that's it, right? We just have to progress and compassion. There's no point beating yourself up for, quote unquote perceived failure. It's about picking yourself up. And it's about choosing to commit. I was just journaling, just 15 minutes ago, or less actually, a bit late getting here. Just journaling around, reinforcing that compassionate commitment to myself, that dedication from the space of love to keep moving forward. Hey, Sister Stacey, what would you like to know on this fine day? Well, it's a fine day here in New Zealand anyway, here in my part of New Zealand. Looking out at the view. That's Kapiti Island in the background, and that's part of my garden in the foreground. Anywho's, that's what I sit here looking at when I'm supposed to be working. I did journal a little bit about procrastination and what's that other word? It starts with D. Distraction. Yeah, which is what I did yesterday, which helped me to run out of light. Hey, Sister Victoria. Which helped me to run out of light was the fact that, I chose to do other things, which was quite important for me to do, right? I decided to cook yesterday afternoon instead of doing, instead of knuckling down and doing the video. basically because I felt that I, quote unquote, should cook, because I hadn't for a little while, and I know Marie was getting tired of it because she expressed that. It wasn't my intuition. And two, it kind of was an easy distraction, right? Oh, I'll do this because this is the right thing to do, instead of hooking into building my business, which is also the right thing to do, but is much more uncomfortable. One gains more instant gratification in cooking a meal and then being appreciated for that, and the other is just hard freaking work, right? Doing something that I feel resistant to, that puts myself out there in a bigger way. So that's what we're all dealing with, right? We all set priorities, and it's not as linear as right or wrong, right? Priorities are priorities, and we set them for different reasons. But it's always interesting to note what aspect of ourselves is influencing our priority setting in any particular moment, right? And what we choose to think is more of a priority is generally what feels safer and more comfortable. Is very, very high on the agenda for the egoic self to seek out safety and comfort ahead of expansion and purpose. Yeah, so that's just normal, right? It's just normal, and we all get to play with that. Thank you, Victoria. I appreciate that you appreciate. I've been riffing a little bit on appreciation as well. That was in my journal this morning. Hey, Denise. Yeah, easily distracted. And there's a lot energetically going on. There's no doubt about that. Very easy to find things that are distracting in our world currently. And it's just a matter of being aware, right? As one of my first teachers, who was part of the yoga school that I no longer align with, basically, used to answer most questions with 3 words: awareness, awareness, awareness. Yeah, the same word 3 times. People would ask questions, and he was a Czech man. But yeah, awareness, awareness, awareness. I have no motivation. Seems my energy goes to kid. Is that what you meant to say, Stacey? My energy goes to kid, as in you just want to play around, or it's an interesting term I haven't heard. My energy goes to kid. Hey, Sister Mary. Who else did I miss here? Hey, Sister M. Instant gratification is very up for me right now. Time to relax and trust at a new level of out of mind. Yeah, and that's and that's it. It's very easy to be directed, not inspired, but it's very easy to find motivation to go in the direction of what's going to lead us to instant gratification, as opposed to sticking to the grind of moving through a process that we know is taking us in the right direction, right? When we know that something is going to take a long time to achieve, it's very much harder to prioritize time to doing that when we have something else that would easily lead to a little hit of appreciation or satisfaction or gratification, right? Something that would feel like a victory. Our ego loves the idea of winning. Winning something, doing something right. For me, for people like us, generally a lot of us are carrying this not good enough template implant overlay, and it's very easy. I'll just scroll back here. Oh, right. Yes. Energy going, sorry, Stacey. So yes, your energy going to your child, and dancing around that, and I agree. That's also that I use that as a distraction very much. I've told that story with my children and cars at the moment, my boys and their cars, and how much that has cost me time this year particularly. Anywho, very easy to use that as to prioritize looking after our children. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't, but quite often we can overinflate their needs and spend an inordinate amount of time pandering to them when perhaps what would best serve them is to giddy up on their own. Horses for course, we have, and that comes with a caveat. We have, it's not carte blanche, no time for children. Of course, our children deserve and need a lot of our time, but also they all, at certain age, and I'm talking to you, Stacey, they get to the point where, moving ahead on their own, I'm talking to myself as well, is very appropriate as well. So, because, otherwise we set up unhealthy relationships in what's that word where we rely on each other, that word. Can't think of it. Not conditional, but anyway, it'll come at some stage. What was Em talking about? Because that was good. Instant gratification. I was talking about something else as well. Appreciation. I'm going to come back to appreciation. I've been thinking a lot about gratitude, and I've done this before, and my own difficulty with feeling gratitude. Codependence, thank you, Emily. Codependence was the word, and Rich, and Victoria. Yeah, we're all onto it, right? Yes, and Stacey, dependency. Hey, Sister Erin, I love your latest offer too, by the way. I just saw it float through my feed as I was getting on this. I love any offer where people offer to help others in an empowered way. And that's what Erin just did. I struggle. Erin just made a great offer to her tribe. I think anticipation energy, I try throw out, it's so uncomfortable. Anticipation energy. Yeah, just feeling into anticipation. We anticipate all sorts of things, don't we? It's interesting. It's interesting. And just linking that anticipation energy up with gratitude and appreciation. I've come back to contemplating my interesting relationship I have with the vibration of gratitude, this love-hate relationship, where I love the idea of being grateful, and yet I really struggle to feel it. Really struggle to... I really struggle. Yeah, I get that, Em. So Em wrote in, that anticipation energy is what I'm avoiding with instant gratification. So, we're avoiding the process of the risk. The anticipation comes with this risk, this fear that perhaps it's not going to work, and then requires patience and a dedication to a process. We're anticipating a result, but we're having to go through a process. That's why we don't like it, because we're not in control. Instant gratification seems to be much more controllable. We pick something that we know is much more likely to succeed, and then we do it, and we know that success comes quickly. It's a quick hit of gratification or satisfaction. It feels good for our ego. We did something, we got a result, we're a winner, right? Big tick, we win. But that hit of satisfaction, gratification, doesn't last very long. I'm going to read it here. The guilty gratitude cycle thing, because I think it's worse on good anticipation. It's interesting, Em. It's interesting. So let's flick back to this freaking gratitude appreciation thing. Because what I basically scrawled in my journal diary this morning was feeling gratitude for any external situation is next to impossible when you don't appreciate yourself, right? Basically, all appreciation is a reflection of self-appreciation, to simplify it. So for those of us who are carrying a not good enough template and really struggle with feeling our own sense of self-worth, if you don't feel worthy in yourself, it's very, you're not going to appreciate yourself so much, right? Because how can you appreciate something that's not good enough? So, hey, Sister Carolyn. So if we're carrying a template and it, not our fault, kind of implanted template that we're not good enough, then it's very hard to appreciate ourselves. If we're not appreciating ourselves, we're very unlikely to appreciate anything else that comes into our life at a deep energetic level. We might appreciate it from an intellectual level, right? Doing this gratitude from a thought process. Oh, that's a good outcome. I'm grateful for that. That's a thought. I'm grateful for that. That's beneficial to think those thoughts, but it's not really what I'm talking about when I'm talking about feeling grateful and appreciative, because that sense that I get occasionally, but not nearly as much as I would like, is a much deeper experience, a much more expansive feeling experience that I'm being supported and that everything's working out for me, and that it's almost a communion, a connection with these outcomes, right? With these outcomes. And as I said, it's an expansive feeling that helps me to feel more connected with my world when I'm appreciating and feel gratitude for what is in my life. And it's an inherently joyful experience that I really appreciate. I really appreciate that experience when it comes. And of course, therefore, I quote unquote want more of it, right? I desire more of it. My heart expands in that space, and it's something that I desire. I also recognize through my awareness that it doesn't happen easily for me. And a lot of the time, what I'm noticing is tripping myself up is this idea that I don't feel worthy of receiving those outcomes. I don't appreciate myself because I don't feel good enough, and therefore I can't feel appreciative of things that I don't feel worthy of receiving. And so it's a mess. It's a friggin' mess. And the point is what I need to do and what I've chosen to do and what I've been doing for quite a few years now, I recognize that beating myself up for being ungrateful is not going to help, right? I'm not going to progress into a deeper experience of gratitude by trying to discipline myself into it, right? By trying to make myself wrong for not being grateful enough and therefore trying harder to mentally be grateful and therefore hope that that's going to flow into a vibration of it. Because basically if I'm doing it from wrongness, I'm not grateful enough, therefore I have to think more grateful thoughts, I'm basically diminishing my vibration in the discipline of myself, right? So it's like, I catch a lot of people, and myself for that matter as well, trying to do self-love from this point of view that self-love is a rightness. And if I'm not doing self-love, then I'm wrong. So it's basically a fear-based way of trying to do self-love, thinking what would be a loving thing to do for myself right now, because if I don't do that, I'm wrong, right? And that does not, you're welcome, Louise, I'm very happy to say that. Many of us do have this program because it doesn't help to try to discipline ourselves to be good, right, and proper, spiritual, grateful, appreciative, self-loving people, right? It has to come from within. It has to come from within. And the only way it's going to do that is by working very compassionately with ourselves to relax into opening up and relax through the process of releasing these programs that we've been indoctrinated with. And I believe a lot of these programs have been indoctrinated through very, very harsh, torturous persecution experiences that we've had in the past, right? We've basically been implanted or brainwashed into this experience of you're not good enough, basically through being tortured by dark beings, because we showed up as light beings in a dark time when darkness basically had the rule of authority very much under control, and we got captured and persecuted, tortured in all sorts of horrendous ways, which I'm not going to go into. And that's reflected back through childhood too. But the reason it comes up in our childhood is because we came in carrying these indoctrinations or these implants from deep past, and I'm talking sometimes a couple of thousand years ago, sometimes only 500 years ago. Depends on on our own situations and what we've gone through, and but that's relatively recent past in my book. For someone who's walked this planet in various forms for millions of years, not just hundreds of thousands of years. We're not just talking about Lemuria and Atlanta, which was however many 100,000 years ago. Millions of years in my awareness. So there's been ups and there's been downs. My soul being has had many experiences, and I believe you too, many of you too. Some of you, of course, have come from other dimensional spaces, but others of us, and I believe many of the people who are attracted to what I share, are long-term Earthians, right? Earth beings. We've been here for a long time, whether we came to the star Tara and have gone through that whole process or not, whether we came in waves to Lemuria or Atlantia or whatever, in more recent history, right, only 100,000 years ago. And some of us have, of course, many people on this planet, many light workers on this planet have come quite recently, right, in the last, they might be on their second, third, first even incarnation here. Different kettle of fish. They're coming with different problems to what I have and to what I believe most of you who are attracted to me have, right? Many of us have been on Earth for quite some time and carrying, quite some discordance around that process. So, where was I getting to? Basically, the process, the help here, the process is to relax out of judging yourself as wrong for not being able to do this stuff easily, right? For not being able to do self-love easily, for not being able to do self-appreciation easily, for not being able to do gratitude easily. I don't know why I've got a finger up to gratitude, but right? Because basically, for myself, ever since a kid, I've carried a wrongness about myself for being ungrateful. As a kid, I realized that my life was pretty good, and yet I didn't feel happy in it. So, automatically you start thinking, well, what's wrong with me? And people start talking about this gratitude thing, and I realized that I didn't feel it. So made myself very wrong for being ungrateful for basically having a blessed life, right? Wasn't comfortable life, but there was nothing external, born into a, reasonably, not a wealthy family, but in comparison to the rest of the world, a reasonably wealthy family, with, living on the beach in Sydney, not right on the beach, but within bike riding distance of the beach, with reasonably good schools, although it's all come out about sexual abuse that was going on in my school now that I had no idea about what was happening in the late 70s, early 80s. That's another interesting kettle of fish, isn't it? But anyway, the point is carrying this vibration of wrong for not being grateful, for not enjoying a life that potentially I should have been enjoying. But there was always this sense inside myself that I didn't belong, that I didn't fit in, and that I didn't find fun in what a lot of kids my age found fun in. It just didn't appeal, and therefore, of course, trying to fit in and trying to find community, we manipulate ourselves to try and do that, but it's always coming at a sense of sacrifice, right? I'm sacrificing who I truly am to wear a mask, to fit into a clique, a group, so that I have some sense of belonging, to try and ease the pain that I'm feeling about not belonging here on this planet, even though I've been here so much, right? Could ingratitude, I like that word, ingratitude, be in our lives from unresolved rage from past lifetimes? Yeah, I definitely think that could be possible. Sorry, it's just telling me about my other Q&A that's coming up in 30 minutes, which means I'll probably come to the end of chat with Matt, but I'll keep going for a little while. I'm glad you're grateful for this chat. And I hear you too, Louise. So yeah, unresolved rage from past lifetimes. So understand what rage is. Rage is basically anger that's coming up in an uncontrolled way, and anger is all about not having our needs met. So our needs definitely weren't met in other lifetimes. We were not appreciated for who we were as beings of light. We were persecuted and dominated, and in some cases, captured, tortured, and killed because of that. It's for everyone, Mary, and it just so happens that you are everyone. As we all are. So from that place where our needs have not been met in the past and we're angry about that, we're trying to get our needs met, it's very easy to not feel grateful about coming back into this life where, at least in our recent memories, our needs haven't been met. Why are we going to be grateful for coming into a life that, even though the world is beautiful and there's all sorts of opportunity here, historically, at least historically from our short-term memory, last couple of thousand years, our needs haven't been met here, right? We haven't been appreciated here. We haven't been honored here. We've actually been the opposite. We've been persecuted and tortured and killed for being ourselves here. So, many of us come on, Jimmy told me, I think most of you have heard about stories about Jimmy, who was one of my mentors after I broke out of the yoga school. Jimmy told me, you basically came in with a chip on your shoulder, right? You didn't want to be here. In fact, you came down kicking and screaming, was his exact words, back onto planet, right? Had to, my higher self, knew that it was time for us to reincarnate. And me, the egoic personality, definitely did not want to come back in. So coming in with a chip on the shoulder, not wanting to be here, coming here under protest, it's very easy to be, a petulant child at that point and not be grateful for anything. Well, I don't want to be here. Right? If I don't want to be here, I'm not going to be grateful for being here. And so many of us have that happening as well. Hey, Erina. Did I say that right? Erina. I think that's Erina. Sorry, I'm hopeless with reading words that I don't recognize straight away. Interesting chat about past lives. I often have a lot of dreams about persecution and being isolated in past lives, not feeling quite a part of this world. Yeah, and that's why you're basically here in this group, because you're just like me and just like most of us here. That's how it works, right? When we shine ourselves out in visibility, then we tend to attract people who align with us. Had this experience every time I woke up, struggling to get back into my body. Yeah. Thanks, Sylvie. So glad your higher self forced you. Who else came in kicking and screaming? Yeah, Mary came in kicking and screaming too. I have this on waking too, getting back into my body. Yeah, that's right. Because many of us are still, we have to understand, many of us light workers, people who are aligned with the light, are only half here anyway, right? Because we're still doing a lot of work in a lot of other dimensions that generally we're not so aware of through the human consciousness, because the human mind can't comprehend, we can't put it into context, those dimensions. We can't contextualize it, therefore we don't remember it because it's not going to compute in our mind. We might have feelings about it. Many of our dreams are representations of what we're doing in other dimensions, but only from using images that we understand from this dimension. Sometimes as we evolve more and become a little bit more accepting, we can see more and more into those dimensions. But generally, in our sleep state, which many of us in this group will be spending a lot of time doing, which is another, quote unquote, interesting or wrongness. Oh, I seem to want to sleep for 10 hours a day. What's wrong with me? We're working on other dimensions, right? We have to understand, and what was really going to serve us to find this level of self-appreciation is this experience in the human body is not the sum total of us. And understanding that it is a great opportunity for us to work through a lot of our SH1T so that we can progress and then really choose to bring more appreciation for ourselves. It is a choice, and it's a choice that's going to take time. And as we were talking with them earlier, that apprehension or anticipation of when am I going to start feeling it is a pain. And we quite often want to distract ourselves with more instant gratification of what we can do here in a body right now, right? Which can be, physical pleasures or whatever, things that feel good quickly, whether that's an appreciation for someone else, or whether that's a visceral feeling of feels good, or whether that's a numbing from all sorts of other opportunities that we have here to express ourselves in all sorts of different ways. Hey Alison, oh my God, that's me wanting to sleep so long. Ever since I was a baby, my mum would check to see if I was still alive. Yeah. No worries, I always open a Pandora's box. Sister Mary. Yeah, so let's get back to what's going to help us, because we've just been talking about, our commonality and in our struggles. But what's going to help you to move forward? One is not to beat yourself up for not being grateful, not being normal, not feeling that you fit in. Hey, Sister Jackie, and understanding that we didn't want to come here, because we have come here and we are here and we're reasonably committed to it now. Like most of us, are in our 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s perhaps. So we're reasonably committed to being here. We've been here we've put up with this for long enough. And so there's no point, bemoaning the fact that we that we got forced to come here and that we didn't want to come here, doesn't help. So, but recognizing that that's what we're dealing with on a deep level, and that chip on the shoulder sort of thing, and that's why potentially we haven't been so successful in our lives, so that we can relax through that and understand that we're not being tortured by God or persecuted or punished, right? It's not that we're not doing it well enough or right enough. The experience that we're having is an outward reflection of our inner vibration. And if our inner vibration is not wanting to be here, then we can't expect ourselves to be having peaches and cream on the outside, right? Because we're going to get not wanting to be here reflected back to us, and what that looks like is generally shit experiences. Yeah, so we have to let go. Sister Mary just wrote in, there's a lot of fear around, being punished for not being grateful enough. So we have to let go of this idea that something's going to punish us for being ungrateful, because the truth is we're just punishing ourselves for being ungrateful, and not being able to access gratitude and appreciation in itself is a punishment, because it cuts us off from having a lot of great experiences. So the point is how do we overcome this? And first and foremost, it's relax. To relax out of the judgment that we're wrong for feeling this. Wrong for feeling that we came in with, not wanting to be here. We're not wrong for feeling that we need to let go of these feelings of being wrong about not being able to feel gratitude, about being wrong for not feeling that we fit in, for being wrong about not wanting to even be here. And understand that it is all just residues from a very difficult past. We're basically war heroes. This is what I keep coming back to. Basically a war hero from this light dark battle that's been going on over Earth, where we've been showing up on the side of light and being basically overcome and persecuted time and time again over the last few thousand years anyway. So we're carrying a lot of PTSD type symptoms from past life, right? A lot of deep trauma that's influencing our ability over time, influencing our ability to function well on this planet. So first and foremost, we have to cut ourselves some slack and have some compassion for this is how we've turned up, and this is the situation, this is our foundation, this is what we're working from. We have this trauma in our field, because when you accept that and you cut yourself some slack and give yourself that space and the space to heal, and not to keep judging yourself as not being good enough and not doing it well enough and not trying hard enough, that will help us to... Sorry, these comments are going through so fast now that I'm lost them, and I know there was some comments there that probably I should have read, but I didn't. Yeah, perfect, Aaron. Sometimes I just forgive myself in the present. Working on the vibration of feeling better thoughts. Was there another one that I missed? That'll do. So relax, my friends. Relax into acceptance, right? Acceptance is first and foremost. Before we can appreciate ourselves, we have to accept ourselves. And we have to accept ourselves that we're carrying wounds. And we're not wrong for carrying wounding, right? We are not wrong for carrying wounding, and we're not a failure because we haven't healed our wounds yet. That's not a beneficial way of thinking about ourselves. And it's not about trying harder to heal, because that doesn't help. Trying hard just creates stress, and stress is the antithesis, and whatever is anti-healing, right? We heal best when we relax. We move into the rest and digest response, right? On a physical level, we do our best healing when we're relaxed, because that's when our body is in healing mode. It's the same energetically. We need to let go of these energetic contractions around self-judgment so that we can move into an energetic space that's more expansive and more loose and more we have more healing available to us in that space. We have more, and healing basically means transformation, letting go of old energies that don't serve us so that we can basically embrace and align with the energies that do serve us, right? More of our inherent true self. And so relaxation is really, really important. And relaxation is not just resting and lying in a hammock. It's basically being free of stress. It's being open. It's being accepting, and it's being loose, and it's being happy, basically. You know, I was talking the other day about just choosing to be happy with, what was that? I think it was in the meditation I did 2 days ago, right? Yesterday morning. As part of the Mantara Transformation Empowerment Support Community, which is a great opportunity for you guys, right? Those of you who are not in that community, I'd highly encourage you to think about joining. It's only 33 New Zealand dollars a month. And that gives you, a huge dose of light language consistently, and consistency is what really helps us to be consistently reminded about this stuff that I'm talking about right now, so that you can relax more effectively, because that's the point. Stress builds up, and we need to be reminded to take a deep breath and relax. And energetically, that's helped with doing, light language and having conversations like this, and just reminded of what's going on. And that's what we're here to help with. So really, I need to get off this call because I've got a Q&A as part of the Bright Light Client Attraction process coming on soon, and I've got a few things I wanted to do before then. So, my friends, I think this is going to be continued, but right now it's about finding acceptance for the fact of what you're carrying and choosing to relax through it, right? Choosing to use your breath consistently, right? Which just means taking 2 or 3 nice deep breaths. Breathe in, hold it for a little while, breathe out, and just allow yourself to be empty for a little while. As you inhale, you're just choosing to align with who you are, choosing to feel the truth of you from deep within you. And as you exhale, you're just letting go of the remnants of stress around you, both the stress that's been created in your external world in the recent history, what's been happening right now, what's got you mentally wound up, but also this deeper energetic stress where you're consistently judging yourself as not doing well enough on the spiritual path, right? Because it's not helping. Judgment doesn't help. We need to relax into acceptance. And from that acceptance, that self-acceptance and that relaxation, we're going to start feeling an inkling of appreciation within ourselves, right? We're going to start appreciating the fact that we have relaxed. We're going to start being aware more of who we really are. And appreciation will come naturally when you truly see the magnificence of you, right? But as long as you are judging yourself, like judging your ability as a fish to climb a tree type analogy, as long as you're judging yourself based on whether you fit into this world based on normal, you're going to always feel like a failure, and you're never really going to become aware of the truth of you, and therefore you will never really appreciate who you are, and therefore you will never really love yourself, and therefore you will never really be able to be grateful for the world that you live in, because it feels like a big fat mistake, right? It feels like a big mistake because you're judging yourself based on a set of criteria that's not really appropriate for who you are. So you need to relax out of all of that. You need to take some deep breaths and let go of a lot of the judgments that you've been programmed with, so that you can see yourself more inherently as the gift that you are. And from there, you're going to appreciate yourself more, and therefore appreciate the world more. And happiness and joy is going to become an experience that you have greater access to, right? It naturally arises when you accept yourself. Find acceptance, let go of judgment, right? Relax. breathe and relax and do what feels appropriate for you based on what feels appropriate to you, not based on what you've been told to do, including anything I tell you to do. So that's it, my friends. Sorry, look, I've been missing all of these friggin' comments, but I will read them all at some stage today, and I'll pop a little love heart next to them all. Thank you so much for interacting and inspiring this rave from me. Beneficial for me, beneficial for you, hopefully, and beneficial for others who will watch this later on in replay. Much love. I will catch up with you soon. Apologies that Chat with Matt went for so long. It's supposed to be half an hour and it's been more like 40 something, but that's life in the big city. Takes a while to get into it. Much love to you all, my friends. I will speak to you again next week, if not before. And remember, if you want to join my community, then just I'll put the link somewhere. I'll make a post. Make a post right now before this next call. A link to join the Montara Transformation Empowerment Support Community. It's not a very flashy sales page. I'll warn you of that now. That was another thought going through my mind this morning. I really must redo my website because it's a shambles. I built it in 2014 before I even had a business, to be honest, and I haven't changed much. Anyway, I will enjoy my day. Thank you very much, Sister Emily Rose and everyone else. Much love. Bye for now. Namaste.